The 90-degree and behind principle. In this volume of the Physical Principles of Aikido series, we will be looking at the 90-degree and behind principle. This fundamental principle of power use is seen in all forms of combat. It is based on the idea that you want to position the opposition, or aite, in your strong spot, and you in aite's weak spot. So far, we have looked at kamae, your body posture. To use the Hanmi kamae of Aikido, we need to see where to place that posture to get the best results. That posture is generally at 90 degrees and behind the opposition, or aite. In the next volume, we will look at how to get to the 90-degree and behind position using our body movement, or taisabaki. The power we use in Aikido is based partially on our positioning. We try to make sure that uke is in front of Nage's center, and Nage is somewhere other than in front of uke's center. We try to make sure that Nage is always 90 degrees and behind of uke. This is where uke is the weakest and Nage is the strongest. Okay, the importance of this position. To be 90 degrees to uke, Nage's belly button should be pointing at right angles to the direction of uke's belly button. Okay, so just like that. Doesn't matter whether my foot is here, here, here. We're keeping this 90-degree angle. To be behind uke, Nage should be in a position where it is easier for Nage to touch uke's back than for uke to touch Nage's back. Much more easily than you try to touch my back. He ends up in a position where his arm is at 90 degrees to his body, so that he's in a position which is untenable. His power is in this area, tanden. My power here is right here in front of me. So he's in my power zone, right there. So it can be here, it can be here. We're still talking about having at 90 degrees, my point this way, his this way, and here. Now, I have to be, at this point, I'm no longer behind him because I have a harder time touching him than he has of touching me. There, where he can actually put his hand behind me much easier. He's got his power now is this in front of him, but my power is here in front of me. Okay? So his tanden, I am in, if you point just like that, here, I am now inside his area of power. Where Nage's feet are in relation to uke's feet does not matter. In fact, whether Nage's hips are in front of uke's hips also does not matter. Actually starting to touch him. For instance, if uke is bent over at the hip, Nage can be standing far ahead of uke and still be behind uke. Here, or whether I'm here. It doesn't really matter because I can touch his back. I can be all the way over here and still touch his back easier than you try to touch my back. Stay down. See, now his hand is out here. He can't have any power at this point. However, it's easy for me to touch his back. Okay? When Nage stands 90 degrees or behind uke, Nage is able to control uke with his or her hands in front. Uke's hands will be to the sides, beyond his or her center. Thus, Nage will be able to use his or her ki, while uke will not. If you wish to maximize your power, you need to do things in front of your center, or your tanden. I can do the technique here and still stay behind. Okay? If he's standing up straight, I can't touch his back, but he can touch my back without getting outside of his area. So now I'm in trouble. All I have to do, though, to get him to striking, I'm now here. The tanden is the core of your power. This is where everything should be done to maximize effectiveness and power. This, of course, is much easier if you stand. If you wish to minimize uke's power, you need to do things as far from their center as possible. That is best achieved directly to the side of uke at 90 degrees. To minimize uke's effectiveness, you need to move the action away from their tanden. Often, the purpose of leading is to place uke in a position in which nage will be 90 degrees and behind. It also gets the center of action away from uke's tanden and keeps it away as uke tries to catch up.
I'm 90 degrees and behind. And his hara, my hara. So again, we're doing techniques where I'm trying to stay where I can touch his back. This is to be controlling him in front of my center. Let's see if there's another one. Nikkyo. Here. I'm behind him, and my hara is at 90 degrees to his hara. Here. If he faces towards me, there, and resist, it's very hard for me to do it. I just have to now, there, and my hara can control it. Again, in almost all cases, the purpose is to get 90 degrees and behind of uke, so that nage is outside of uke's tanden. You don't ever want to be in a position...
At no time in Aikido do we position ourselves with one or more arms at our sides. This position has always been used to indicate surrender, since it is one of the weakest possible positions, either defensively or offensively.
I go, hands, stick them up. And you go, hands up. If I am here, he's got no power at this point. I'm doing everything in front of me, and you try to press against my arm. He can't do it. However, because my hara is in front of my tanden, I can easily push him back, because this is my power area. So let's now look at some ways to get to the 90 degree and behind position from the Katate Tori attack.
From a static Katate Tori Hanmi attack.
Okay, so as we move in and you grab my Katate Tori, one of the key things that we want to
have your uke attack in Katate Tori Hanmi. To get 90 degrees and behind uke, you may need to step out with your back leg while pivoting slightly with your hip. Your hand should move by following your thumb over uke's wrist. You will now be 90 degrees and behind uke, who will have to turn slightly to accommodate your hand motion. The fingers of your hand should extend towards uke's face or center to set them off balance.
So this way I can get into the 90 degree and behind position. And from that position I can do techniques. Okay. So I can do this, and then this position, right? Here.
As you get better with this movement, you will find that you will not need to step outside, but simply use the Torifune Kogi Undo motion as you pivot on the toes of your back leg.
You can get good enough that you don't have to make this step here, but you can just turn and see, I'm now 90 degrees and behind. My hara is this way, his hara is this way. So
doing this motion will set you up to do Ikkyo or a number of other techniques.
So I don't have to make this. I don't have to make this full step out to here, but I can just turn there. Okay? And I can come to 90 degrees in behind position. Okay? So from here, step in here.
From a static Katate Tori Gyaku Hanmi attack.
There are three main ways to get into the 90 degree and behind position from this attack. The first group uses an Irimi motion to get behind uke. The next uses sideways motion to get to ukezura. The last uses a circular motion to move uke and spin uke into position.
Using Irimi motion.
Okay, so from this position in Katate Tori Gyaku Hanmi, we can move directly in to get to the 90-degree bind.
In this variation, Nage moves in directly forward in an Irimi movement. This can be done bringing the grasped hand either to the center as in Tai No Henka, cutting down as with a Ken motion, rotating the wrist at the waist, or raising the arm in a furikaburi motion.
Here, I can see his back.
In all of these movements, it is important to do the motion directly in front of your tanden.
He's over there, right? Like that. And I'm at 90 degrees behind. Here. Okay.
You can also enter directly into the 90-degree position from Katate Tori Gyaku Hanmi.
You can't see mine, so I'm not.
Simply step 45 degrees forward with your front foot, entering deeply enough to get to the 90-degree and behind position as you cut out and down towards uke's third point. Sideways movement by Nage.
Here, I step out. At this point, I'm attacking his face.
You need to move outside to uke's ura in this case, so you will have to use a Tenshin movement sideways. Again, follow your thumb around uke's wrist.
At this point, if you let go and just hold that position, I now control his back. My hara is, again, at this 90-degree angle.
As you move to uke's ura, you need to switch your feet position so that you can move the outside leg easily for your next move. As you swing your arm up, remember to attack uke's center with the thumb. This will not only break uke's balance, but will also help to break the grip on your wrist. Once uke's grip is broken, you can do whatever technique you wish from this point.
From here, we can take this technique.
Leading uke.
There. 90 degrees.
To move uke into position, Nage needs to do a Tenshin movement while attacking uke's center with the other hand, then sliding that hand down uke's grabbing arm to force uke to move forwards and sideways. Start by throwing an atemi at uke's face while pivoting the back foot. Move uke forward by sliding your hand down from uke's grabbing shoulder to their elbow pit while you step back in Tenshin. This slide is done so that by the end of the slide to the elbow, Nage's hand is on top of uke's wrist. This way, Nage's free hand can grasp uke's grabbing hand. The grasped hand must also be working by cutting downwards. By the end of this movement, uke should be moving away from Nage with his or her back foot, causing them to pivot a slight amount. This puts uke at 90 degrees and in front of Nage. Nage can now move the grasped hand in the direction of his or her thumb to attack uke's center, causing uke's grip to break.
Coming in here. It's important to come from here down. You don't want to just here, because the body doesn't. It's slide down, sliding down, and that makes his whole body, you see the whole body. In addition, when you move your foot back, that's what causes him to move. Here, this is coming down here, okay? This one. Okay. Rather than moving this foot here, what you're doing is you're moving this way. Move the foot to step back. So if you do this, it's going. So from here, I want to show, you don't want to do this. If I do this, right now you can see that he's 90 degrees in behind me. So it's here. You're trying to move uke around you so that when you step in, you're now 90 degrees in behind.
Exercises for the 90-degree and behind principle. Let's look at some exercises that will help you understand the importance of the 90-degree principle. Tai No Henka. One of the most common errors in doing Tai No Henka is not getting to the 90-degree and behind position in the initial movement. To do so may require a high level of shoulder and elbow flexibility. If uke puts in some resistance to the Katate Tori grip by pulling towards themselves, you will find that when you complete the Tenkan movement, uke is able to push you over by simply bumping your hip with his or her hip.
Okay, I'll show you that again. So this is not deep enough. He can see my back. So when I'm here, all he has to do is bump me.
By relaxing your shoulder and elbow, you should be able to enter so that you are 90 degrees and behind uke. It is at this point that you should be starting your Tenkan movement. Begin the Tenkan movement by turning your head toward the direction you intend to face. Your outside foot should now be drawn back to complete the Tenkan.
Make sure that when you come in, here, your hand is in front of your tanden. Okay? Make sure that this is right here. If it's beyond here, then I'm in trouble. If it's here, I'm in trouble. It has to be in my tanden. Okay? That allows me to turn and keep control of it.
You should not be shifting your weight, but your weight should stay on the foot that entered so that you end up in a strong Hanmi. Uke should now be slightly ahead of you so that when they try and push you over, you are not there. Tai No Tenkan. Tai No Tenkan is very similar to Tai No Henka, but it includes ukemi practice. Upon completing the Tenkan movement, uke will find that they must step forward with the back foot to keep balance and to get out of a position in which Nage is 90 degrees and behind. As the slack is taken out of the arms, uke will have to turn to remain safe. Give uke your other hand so that you can do another Irimi Tenkan. Remember, Tai No Tenkan practice is as much ukemi practice as it is Tai Sabaki practice for Nage.
Okay, so I'm trying to keep you from getting behind my back. That is the issue. That's what makes me do Tai No Tenkan. Okay, not you pushing me. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, if you didn't move, right? If I'm here and I'm like this and you don't move, I just go. Mm-hmm. End of game. Over. You're dead. Right? Or from here, you don't move, you're dead. So in order for you to keep from being thrown, to maintain good balance, you have to move. Okay, I'm getting behind you, so you better start moving. Yeah, I'm getting behind you, so you better start moving. Right? I'm getting behind you, so you better move, or you're too late.
If you do this exercise dynamically, uke will automatically resist by pushing forward.
You're not getting behind them.
Again, one of the things which you should remain aware of is to ensure that you are getting 90 degrees and behind uke upon initial entry. A better explanation of this exercise is given in the DVD about Tai Sabaki.
Oh, better turn.
Once you get good enough with the Katate Tori attack, you might want to try this exercise with a Tsuki attack.
Okay? If you don't do that, okay, if he doesn't turn,
remember, Tai No Tenkan is a combat exercise to prepare your mind, exercise your grip, practice controlling your ma'ai, protecting your posture and balance through good ukemi, and practicing your timing and flow. Do not just do the practice repetitively without thinking. Both Nage and Uke must remain aware and physically prepared to make this a good exercise. Kata Tori Tenshin.
there. Now I'm 90 degrees in behind.
Start in Kata Tori and start to move to an Ikkyo response by doing a Tenshin movement. The objective of the Tenshin movement should be to get yourself to a 90-degree and behind position. This will mean stepping diagonally backward to stretch Uke out with the movement, while getting to the 90-degree and behind position. To help you move Uke when they are resisting by pulling backwards, make sure that you use the arm which has the grasped shoulder by raising it upwards. Make sure you turn your hips as you step sideways so that you don't end up in a surrender position. You want to keep your raised arm in front of your body. You can do the same exercise using Yokomen Uchi attacks. Again, try to get to the 90-degree and behind position. You can attain this position by either stepping sideways or backwards.
Slide your hand down his arm. Okay. That's what moves him. Now my hands are directly from here.
So you don't have to switch hands, huh?
It's going towards the center. Right? So, there. Now at this point, there. You notice, even if I missed your hand, it doesn't really matter. I got it here.
Ikkyo Undo. In addition to being a stretch, this exercise is meant to help you work on getting to the 90-degree and behind position. This exercise can be done either from the Tekubi Tori attack or from Shomen Uchi attack.
Okay, now your turn. There you go.
In Katate Tori, practice getting to 90 degrees first before entering Irimi.
Stay behind so I can see his back. The main point we want to make with Ikkyo Undo is to practice getting to the 90-degree position first and behind.
Take the elbow to ensure that Uke stays at 90 degrees as you step in with your outside leg. Step in to the armpit using Sankaku Irimi. Now step outside but turn your hip so that you are now 90 degrees to Uke's hips, while Uke's shoulder is being stretched. In Shomen Uchi, use the Hikitsuki to turn Uke so that you are at 90 degrees. Continue the motion using Sankaku Irimi and stretch the shoulder while maintaining the 90-degree position.
Yeah, not too much. You're too much and you're not going to be 90 degrees to him.
So am I okay here?
Yeah, remember his is there.
Right, and I'm
Yeah. If you turn more this
then
way,
I'm going that way.
yeah, and then actually it doesn't stretch his shoulder, it'll hurt his shoulder.
After stretching the shoulder, it is time to trade roles, and your partner must now find out how to get to a good 90-degree position.
There you go. Now do it.
Apply a little resistance so that your partner gets good training at finding routes to the 90-degree position.
Yep, there. And then there you go.
This is a good stretch.
Yeah. Repeat this exercise for both sides and for both partners. Remember to give enough resistance to make it a good exercise for both uke and nage.
Resisting Nikkyo.
You can help build up your wrists as well as practice the 90-degree and behind principle through resistance to Nikkyo. Resisting Nikkyo, okay? And to put on good Nikkyo, right, you have to be so that you're 90 degrees in behind. To resist the Nikkyo, you're gonna put it on until it hurts me really bad, and I'm gonna turn my hip. So now you're gonna turn your hip. There we go, there. There. Good.
Let your partner get you into a good strong Nikkyo that hurts enough to just about put you down on your knees. Begin the resistance exercise by turning your hips to face uke's hips and bringing your Nikkyoed wrist closer to your body. You will notice that the level of pain has decreased. Hold that position and have uke put on greater pressure. After building up your wrist flexibility and strength, you will find that you can resist a very strong Nikkyo with ease.
Yep. Okay. Now, once you learn that, to be able to take that pressure off of your wrist by using the 90-degree principle, you can then learn to do Kayashiwaza. That's one. Or let's do another one.
Make sure you both protect each other and do not push each other past the point of breaking the wrist.
Right? Different.
Application exercises. Kata, Tekubi, Tori, Irimi, Nage exercise.
There are numerous ways of entering into Irimi Nage. And one of them includes the entry, which is very much like what you use for Ikkyo. But that entry is not Kihon Waza for Irimi Nage, so we're not going to look at it here. Instead, we're going to start a different way.
A common error in doing Irimi Nage is not getting to the 90-degree and behind position in the initial movement, and not throwing from a 90-degree and behind position.
Having him behind you, and now he's in a superior position.
Let's start with a static Katate Tori Gyaku Hanmi attack. The initial movement is to either lead the grabbed hand low, following the thumb horizontally, or to lead the hand high, following the thumb vertically. The free hand is then used to cut the opponent's grasp from Nage's wrist.
Turn my head first so that I can cut down and up.
As Nage cuts uke's grasp from his or her wrist, Nage should be moving to the 90-degree and behind position. This positioning allows Nage the power to cut uke's arm while turning to lead uke. Uke should remain in the relative position to Nage, 90 degrees and in front, as he or she moves around Nage. The throw is done by having Nage enter directly forwards through uke's center.
So now, take a look. I'm 90 degrees to him. And I'm behind him. So here I am, I've gotten 90 degrees. I turned,
Nage cannot throw uke if the hip is turned, so that uke is no longer 90 degrees and in front. If this happens, Nage places him or herself into the surrender position and
I'm
loses
really
all
bad,
power.
Again, the position that I never want to be in Aikido. Okay, you want to make sure you do everything in front of you in your tanden. So you want to be throwing from here.
Uke should remain in the 90-degree and in front position during the throw. Kata Tekubi Tori, Soto Tenkan Kaiten Nage Ura exercise. One of the key applications of the 90-degree principle is that changes in direction follow an orthogonal pattern. That means that the change from one direction to another is taken at a 90-degree angle or a completely different direction than you had previously been going. Katate Tori Soto Tenkan Kaiten Nage Ura is a good example of this orthogonal directional change. Nage and Uke start in Katate Tori Gyaku Hanmi from a dynamic attack. Nage starts the movement using a tenkan movement, leading with a ken style of lead. This means that Nage leads Uke around in a horizontal movement. After completing the tenkai part of the movement to get 90 degrees and behind, Nage starts the vertical hand motion to attack Uke's center. You will notice that the circular leading motion is 90 degrees to the horizontal motion by being vertical and 90 degrees to the initial motion in the horizontal plane. This is an orthogonal circular direction to the initial motion. The next motion is orthogonal again, in that the arm movement maintains the vertical motion, but the legs move the body in a circle, so that the motion is 45 degrees to the last vertical motion. We now have led in a horizontal circle, to a vertical circle, to a diagonal circle. The final movement is another vertical arm circle combined with a horizontal hip circle. Each succeeding circle is orthogonal to the previous circles.
Doing a diagonal vector requires you to have two motions. One is a straight up and down motion, and another one horizontal. Okay? So if I try to make this angle diagonal, it's not going to work diagonally because it's all pretty much horizontal. This hand cuts diagonally, or vertically, while I move horizontally. That is a diagonal vector. Diagonal vectors don't occur because of moving the arm diagonally. They occur because you're moving the arm vertically while the legs are moving horizontally. Or the legs and hips are moving vertically while the arm is moving horizontally. Okay? So in this Kaiten Nage, I'll show you where it occurs. Okay, here, this is all horizontal. Okay, this is all vertical. But here, notice I'm just lifting the arm up while I'm turning. That creates the diagonal vector. I don't try to push it diagonally. I do it vertically.
Ryotakubi Tori Tenchi Nage Omote. One of the keys of doing a good Tenchi Nage Omote is to use the Sankaku Irimi motion to get to 90 degrees and behind of Uke.
Basically what I want to do is move here.
As Uke grabs your two hands, move 45 degrees to the outside of Uke's ura. This is where many people get into trouble. As you move outside, you have to turn your hips to face Uke. This places you 90 degrees and behind Uke.
His actual point this way and this way. So we're 90 degrees to one another. I'm being able to touch his back.
Nage's hands should remain in front. The technique is finished by moving in behind Uke, following the 90-degree angle to Uke's third point.
So I'm standing again in Hanmi. Cut downwards
The upper hand should then be used in either a cutting down or an empty the teacup motion and a hip twist, extending to uke's third point. Do not do a hip twist with the cutting version.
A couple key points here. One of the things is to make sure that I don't come in like this. As you notice, I'm now, if you move aside, I'm in this cornholio position, this position that I have no power because my arm is at my side. It's outside of my tanden. I want to make sure that here, both hands are in front of my tanden. And there. And if you let go, walk away, see, and my hands are pretty much in the same position.
Ryotakubi Tori, Tenchi Nage, Ura. If you lack flexibility, this can become one of the more difficult techniques to do statically.
We're going to start from here.
It requires Nage to turn his or her hips sufficiently to bring the back hip ahead of the front foot, while bringing the corresponding hand to his or her tanden.
Here.
Uke must be pushed forward rather than pulled. The motion is continued, pushing through past Nage to lead uke forward. To help move uke, the top hand is used to extend uke outward with a furikaburi motion. Do not pull uke with the top hand. That would never move uke. If it did, it would only move uke into you. Instead, use centrifugal force to direct uke around you.
This is the hand that moves him. This is the hand. This hand keeps him going out.
Use the bottom hand to move uke through.
Here, okay? At this point, you're going to push him through. Here.
As uke moves through and around, uke will pivot.
Here, I want to get 90 degrees.
Help
behind.
uke continue moving through by stepping with uke towards uke's third point. Extend both of your arms to uke's third point to complete the throw. Ushiro, Ryokata Tori, Ikkyo, Omote.
Without foot movement.
We will practice this technique dynamically. As uke enters to attack, push uke around using a furikaburi motion while turning your hips to follow uke. As uke steps behind, counter-rotate past uke to place you into a position that is 90 degrees and behind uke. You can help yourself get to this position by stepping back with the inside foot. Turn your body into a strong Hanmi position so that your head can get under uke's arm. To help you move your body into the strong Hanmi, swing your inside arm down in a cutting motion as you step backwards. Continue the swing of the arm up and over uke's elbow. Meanwhile, the head should be free so that you can now turn your hips to move in the direction that uke was going to continue in his or her motion, forward and down. Help them continue downwards by pushing on their elbow from above. Finish the Ikkyo with a pin. Even at this point, Nage should be 90 degrees to uke.
Without foot movement.
Ryotakubi Tori, Kokyu Nage. As uke comes in to grab the wrists, your backhand should either snake above uke's wrist or cut downwards. This keeps uke moving forward rather than stabilizing into a static position. Continue the motion until uke is in front of your body and at 90 degrees. Meanwhile, your front hand should be following the thumb into a furikaburi in front of your face. Continue the technique by cutting down with both your hands.
What I'm saying is, if I try to move at this point, he can block me with his body. I can't get, and right now, at this point, if you take a look, I haven't seen if you can touch my back easily with his hand, right? I can't even move my hand behind him because I'm stuck. So what I have to do is at this point to keep him moving. Right? So to do that, I have two ways of doing it. I can cross my hand at this point, like this, cut down, and raise both. Or I can just continue this way. Notice this one's cutting down.
Static Ushiro Ryokata Tori Kokyu Nage.
Here we go. So we're going out, in, we're going out, in.
Uke should be in Gyaku Hanmi, holding on to Nage's keikogi at the sides of the shoulders.
We're going to be going
Nage steps 45-degree backwards with the back foot to get to Uke's 90-degree position. To create the slack to be able to move, Nage needs to raise his or her arms in a furikaburi motion. After stepping out in the first part of the backwards sankaku irimi motion, Nage will then take the second step inwards to get behind Uke. Continue with the Kokyu Nage by finishing with a tenkai motion of the hips and swinging down with the arms to create a downward vector. The 90-degree principle is a key to much of Aikido. Instructors often do not mention it because they believe it is just common sense. They might also mention the principle in terms of making two lines. Or they might just tell you to enter more deeply or with more commitment. There are many different ways instructors express this principle, but they are all effectively the same. I am not saying anything different than your instructor. I am only using different words that might give you a better idea of what your instructor is trying to tell you.